Hi there, Shauna here from Wellness Seeker on this lovely Monday with your wellness as usual for the week ahead. So tonight's video is about self-doubt. So that pesky feeling that tells you that you can't, that feeling that tells you that you shouldn't, that you should pull back. That old difficult feeling that gets in the way of you doing anything nice or anything good or any future plans. So for those that are just jumping on, I'm on a new platform. So if you can let me know if the sound is okay and that you can hear me, because I know we had a few difficulties last time. So if you just give me a thumbs up or a heart or whatever and let me know that you can hear me. And let me know that the sound is good. Hi Pauline, good to see you. Hi Jason, good to see you all. Pauline, can you hear okay? If you let me know, just be typing into the chat if you can hear me. And I'll go, good, everybody, grand. The sound on this is much better, I think, and hopefully the video is much better. So, self-doubt. I think from the looks of the post that I put up today, self-doubt is one of those things that is quite universal. So this video tonight is for you if you have a difficulty with self-doubt, if you have nagging self-doubt, if it interrupts what you want to do in your life, if it gets in the way. This video is for you if that's the case. If you procrastinate, if you find it just really disrupts kind of what you want out of life, what you really want for yourself, if you find it really disruptive, this video is for you. So hopefully some inspiration for yourselves if you're suffering from self-doubt. Self-doubt ultimately is just I can't do something or I'm not capable. So, but self-doubt for me plays on a loop. Whenever I understand self-doubt in me, I understand that it can play in a loop. So give me a thumbs up or a comment if this is familiar, because this is how I understand self-doubt, and this is the kind of self-doubt that I see all the time in one-to-ones. This is the self-doubt that I see with even the girls that are training in the Wellness Seeker Academy. This is the kind of self-doubt that I see all the time, and it feeds on a loop. And it begins with that old familiar feeling of doubt, that old familiar and that language of doubt. And it begins there. And then what happens then is, because you're doubting yourself, there's no action. You pull back, you tell yourself you can't, and therefore you don't. And when there's no action, there's no results. There's nothing coming. There's nothing there to show you that you can. So when there's no results, what that does, it feeds into that low self-esteem and says, look, you couldn't even do that. Look, you're useless at that. Look, you haven't even managed that. The many times that I've heard that in the room is massive. Look at how, you couldn't even manage to do that. And what happens is that not taking action creates low self-esteem, and that low self-esteem creates low self-worth, and that low self-worth creates more doubt. It kind of really embeds the doubt into your mind and tells you absolutely you can't. Look, you couldn't even do that. And so we go round that loop on a continuous basis, and it can be quite difficult to disrupt and quite difficult to get out of. I know that all too well. So what is self-doubt at its root? I think that's while important to understand. I think that's massive to understand. Self-doubt at its root is, and this is really, really important, and I'm going to say this a load of times because I think it's while important, but self-doubt is at its root is what I call a construct. It's a string of words, it's a belief, it's a thing that you say to yourself that you mightn't even be aware that you say it. You just say it to yourself. You're not even probably aware of what the words are, but it's a string of words. And here's the most important part of self-doubt, and you'll probably have never heard this before, but it's a feeling. It's a really, really, really difficult feeling that's attached to those words. And why self-doubt is so disrupting is because it's not the words that stop you, but it's the feelings that stop you. Because whenever you say to yourself, I can't, those words mean nothing if they're not accompanied by this really difficult, near treacherous feeling. And when you have that big, difficult feeling in you, you take no action. because everything we do is conceptualized in thought and motivated by feeling. I'm going to say that again. Everything you do is conceptualized in thought and motivated by feeling. It's your feelings that motivate you in action. So if you have these thoughts that you can't and that you don't know if you can and you're not sure and what if I made like a fool, and they are accompanied by huge feelings. They don't come on their own, because if they did, they wouldn't cost you a single thought, but they come with this weighty feeling. And give me an idea if this is making sense to you. It's the feeling that stops you, guys. It's the weight of the feeling of the construct. Now, I know they go hand in hand. Absolutely, they go hand in hand. The construct sits in alongside the feeling. And it's that, and it's the both of them together that absolutely annihilate you, that literally stop you in your tracks. And what I find in most of the times that I'm dealing with self-doubt is that if we can kind of try and disrupt the feeling, then we can disrupt the construct. So what I'm going to try and show you how to do that. Now, there's a school of thought on this self-doubt, and if you YouTube self-doubt, the kind of big players, I think she's called Mel Robson, I think that's what her name is, and obviously Tony Robbins, they do a lot of work on kind of trying to skip over the feeling. So I'll give you two of the top techniques that is used to skip over the feeling when you get self-doubt, because I know that I've been asked that. I know that I've been asked when they get that self-doubt, how do they kind of push it past? How do they get by it? So this is kind of two ways of dealing with the feeling itself. So the first way is what they call the 5-second rule. And basically this 5-second rule is that you only give yourself 5 seconds to make a choice, or not to make a choice, to take action. And what that basically does, you basically count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what that does is it pushes you into action, because the construct doesn't have time to take root and the feeling doesn't have time to take root. So you count to 5, you say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it now, and you count to 5 and you do it. And basically the science behind that is just basically that the feeling doesn't have time to take root and pull you back. So that's the first thing. There is loads and loads of videos on YouTube around the 5-second rule, and you can, look at them to your heart's content. I just wanted to lay down some of that good detail in front of you so that you can understand how to get past the feeling. And that's exactly what the 5-second rule does. It tries to get you past the feeling, because if you can get past the feeling, you'll take action. And when you get past the feeling, you take action, and then you start to build confidence. Because the reality of this is, guys, nobody's born with confidence. What happens is action creates confidence. And when we take more action, we get more confidence. And that's what this wee rule is trying to do, this 5-second rule. The second one really comes from Tony Robbins, and he is of the firm belief that every feeling in us is created by our physical movement. So he says if you're looking to get action, if you're looking to take action, you have to physically move your body. It's called the emotional triad, and basically what it's made up of is of emotion, language and movement. And he reckons that moving your physical body gets you past the emotion much better as well. So that's another technique that you can try. But this wouldn't be a Wellness Seeker video, sure it wouldn't, if we weren't looking at transformation, because you know that that's what the Wellness Seeker is all about. The Wellness Seeker is all about transforming, not loving with the rubbish that you have to love with, not loving with this. And for me, they're great techniques, there's no doubt, and there's some amazing techniques out there, there really is. But for me, there's some of the techniques, and the premise behind them is getting over the feeling, getting past the feeling, not allowing the feeling to disrupt you. But the reality of it is, look, if you're suffering from self-doubt, you can either live with it or you can either get rid of it. And I always opt for the getting rid option. You know me well enough by now, you know that I don't mess around and they just kind of managing it. I would rather get rid. So what I'm going to try and do for you now in this last 5 minutes of the video is I'm going to show you how you get rid of your self-doubt, how to actually eliminate it. not live with it, not manage it, but how to get rid. And Pauline, this is hopefully going to be good information. This next piece is going to be a really, really powerful piece. We all know that self-doubt is universal. What's that mean? It means that everybody suffers with self-doubt. Again, you're not born with confidence. You have to move into self-doubt. You have to move into confidence through action. So look, self-doubt is universal. I don't care, if you're running America or if you're running Ireland, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what position you are. Everyone suffers from self-doubt. If they're really honest, some people pretend they don't, but that's not human nature. Everybody suffers from self-doubt, and it is a universal principle. And you can sit down and talk to your friends about self-doubt, and it'll feel like you're all talking the same thing. You're all talking about that she must feel like me. The reality of it is that self-doubt, while it's a universal principle, is so individually unique to you. And this is where you'll win. This is where you'll transform it. This is where you'll eliminate it. This is where I start to find passion. I know that it's good to have tips and techniques to get over stuff quickly, but this stuff is the stuff that works. This stuff is the stuff that means that you don't have to bloody live with a thing. And the first thing that I would say to you is, you really have to get specific on your self-doubt. Not your sister's, not your friends. That's not what yours is. Yes, it might sound the same. Yes, it might have the same language, but your language pattern. So what is your language pattern in self-doubt? Where does it show itself the most? When does it show itself the most? With who does it show itself the most? This is where the work is. If you can really get specific, really, really, really specific on where this shows up, what it is saying, what language has it got, then if you can really start to understand it at a real intimate level for you, then this is where you will win. Now, what I would ask you to do is turn into it. Ask, what is going on here? When do I feel like this? When do I think like this? If you need to take a journal and write it down. It may take you a course of a few days to understand it, but those few days are well worth spending, I can tell you, because you can manage it for the rest of your life, or you can spend a week or a few days digging deep, understanding it and getting past it. So I'm going to give you, the first thing that I would like you to do if you want to get past self-doubt is to understand it. So understand the language patterns, understand the constructs, understand the wording that's associated, understanding where it shows up, understand what it's saying, understanding who it's saying it to, understand the detail of it. So my self-doubt says I can't do physical things, I can't do mental things, I can't take on too much, I can't handle stress, what is it actually saying? This is so important. Now, this next tip is absolutely vital as well. And this is the thing that I would use in one-to-ones. What we know is that our feeling holds a lot of memory. And the self-doubt has a feeling, like I said, it has a construct and it has a feeling. Do you see that feeling? That feeling is gold dust. Because that feeling, if you can tap into it. So what I mean by tapping into the feeling is hear it. What does the feeling feel like? Where do you get it in your body? What does it say? Where does it permeate in your body? Is it in your chest? Is it in your tummy? What does self-doubt feel like? See if you can hone into that feeling, the most magical thing happens, and you're nearly taken directly, sometimes, not always, but taken directly to a memory, to the time when you remember feeling that. When I do that in one-to-ones, it's amazing. People come in and they say, I think it's because I have, I don't know, I have dyslexia, for example. I think it might be there. I think I doubt myself because I wasn't smart at school. And then once you go into the feeling gives them a whole different answer. It's so amazing to see. So try and track the feeling if you can. Sit with the feeling and ask yourself, how old is this feeling? How long have I had this? What's my earliest memory of this feeling? And you will find that self-doubt like that if you can track that. And what emerges is this amazing understanding of where this has come from, and the understanding then backs up the cognitive side. That feeling backs up the construct, the thought pattern side of it, and you have an answer. And then when you have an answer, it begins to fall apart, because you then begin to see, that's where that's come from. And most all of the time, especially in one-to-ones, what happens is there's a real understanding, and when the understanding of where the self-doubt comes from, that it's not in the now, that it's not in the thing that you can't do today, that it has been a long time pattern, it's been there for years. When you start to understand where that comes from, it disables it. It's the most amazing thing. When you start to get context on where this is coming from, it takes a lot of the weight out of it. And you start to see it for an untruth. You start to see it for not something that you can't do now, not for something that you can't get up on the stage and sing, not for something that you can't kind of start that business that you've always wanted. That self-doubt doesn't belong there. It's not in the now, it's in the past, and it's whispering again and again and again and again and driving you mad. And you do not deserve to live with something that is as old as the hills and is driving you mad in the now. You do not deserve it. Life is not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be powerful, and you are supposed to be in charge of it. And if you can absolutely tap into that, I promise you, the world is awaiting, because the only thing that's holding you back is that old wound that keeps reminding you how incapable you are, keeps reminding how useless you are, because you were useless when you were 4. Well, supposedly useless when you were 4, because you didn't pass the 11 plus, because you got a spelling wrong in secondary school, because you weren't as smart as the girl across the street. Whatever this not capable is coming from, it does not belong in the now. And if you can track the feeling, you'll find where it is. If you can track the construct, you will find where it is, and it takes so much weight out of it. And you don't have to you don't have to YouTube channels and find out how to manage self-doubt. Although it is helpful in the short term, and I have no difficulty with that, but you know I'm all about the transformation, and that's what I wish for you. Let me know. That was a rant and a half. I didn't expect myself to rant, but I do get so bloody passionate about this stuff. So if that was of any use to you, let me know. Let me know if I see some of you saying powerful. Pauline, was that helpful? Thanks, Pamela. Thanks, Billy. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that's struck a chord. If anybody has any questions, I am happy to hear. I'm sure my husband will be happy, because I've thrown them all out of the kitchen tonight. So if anybody has any questions while I'm on a roll, I have no difficulty with helping you. Thanks, Claire. It was a bit of a rant, was it? I'll be embarrassed when I listen to it back. Oh, hi, Caroline. Thanks a million. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions and they want to PM or whatever. Oh, hi, Shauna. Thanks, Michelle. So anybody have any questions and they want to get to me via PM, if they don't want to mention it here, that's fine. And hopefully that will have struck a chord. And just to leave you with this last, hi Gear, how are you? Just to leave you this last note, it's possible to undo it. It really, really is. It's possible to step into your power. So thanks, Elizabeth. I'll see you all soon. So there's no questions, and I'm going to love yous and leave yous at 20 to 11 on a Monday night. And go and get a cup of tea. See you all soon. Thanks for now. Bye.